welcome back to It's All Related, the weekly podcast where we bring intuition down to earth and into your everyday life. I'm Sonia Choquette, and for more than 50 years, I've helped people around the world reconnect with their spirit and trust their vibes to live a more guided, joyful life. Every week here, my daughters and I sit down for a real unfiltered conversation about what intuition actually looks like, how it plays out in the real world. The bumps, the synchronicities, the messy moments, and the magic. And I'm here this week with my daughter, Sonia in New Orleans. Hi, Son.
Hi, Mom. How are you today?
I'm great. I am getting ready to come and see you.
I know. I've been prepping. I'm getting so excited. I got, part of my intention this week is not only to play a lot with you, but you've been hard at work, so I'm ready to let your little inner child out to run wild, which I am so excited because we are starting with a drag show with two of our favorites. If you're a listener, we love RuPaul's Drag Race in our family, and Got Mick and Violet Chachki are doing a show here in New Orleans, and I made an ask of a friend, and he was so sweet. He asked me today if we wanted to do the meet and greet.
I would love to do the meet and greet. And I'm just praying for the travel guides to clear this space so that, because I am flying from London to Houston to New Orleans and going from the airport to the show.
Oh, I know. You're hitting the ground running like a star, like an absolute star.
So you know what? We're going to ask the travel guides and the angels and the weather angels and the traffic angels to keep it all wide open, because that's how we do.
It's going to be smooth. It's going to be smooth sailing. You know, one thing that I really recognize just as an intuitive, that I find that when you're intuitive, something you do differently. When you really have a relationship with your guides and your angels, you are always asking. So one of my besties, like one of my besties, Nahaya, she's her family, she's from here. Her family lives in the burbs, but her mom announced just the other day, comes from a big family, she's one of 7, announced that most of the family is out of town. So they're going to postpone Thanksgiving. So she's free. So she reached out and was like, hey, don't know what you and Lane are doing. And I, of course, was like, come on in. But Lane and I had made a reservation for a restaurant here, Mr. Mao, that we really love. And so, of course, we even as we're discussing, I'm like, angels have got us. We got it. Go online, sold out, booked. I'm like, thank you, angels. Of course, we call. We'll see what we can do. We're really, 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 really packed. And then 2 minutes later, we can make space. And I'm like,
hooray,
that's
angels.
it. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Instead of what I find sometimes with fifth sense.
Fear and anxiety.
Yeah, or like even fifth sense, it's like, it's impossible. Can't. Sold out. Done.
That is absolutely the biggest difference when you choose to live an intuitive life, which you can. It is natural. And this is the year. I just really want this month to be a major theme that you will end this year with the decision, I am trusting my vibes.
Yeah.
And I am living with angels and guides, and I am no longer doing anything by myself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it reminds me of the 4 principles that you have taught that I love, coming directly from the Psychic Pathway, one of my favorite books that I recommend to clients, especially if no matter where you are on your intuitive journey, I still use it. I love it. It's fantastic.
It's fundamental. It really is good.
It really is. But, that really quick reminds me of like when I did kickboxing for years and years and years. I remember one class I went back and he had me do like the most basic foundational steps. And there was a part of me that was like, I got this. And he's like, you're never too good to work on your foundation. And it really stuck with me. But the 4 decisions you have to make.
From the foundation book.
Open to my intuition, putting our framework open.
Absolutely. Most people are not.
No.
Out of never being invited to be open.
Yeah. And even just in that same way, for my example with dinner, we say 5 cents or we have a closed mind. It's like, it's done. There's no other possibility. I have no
you collapse
availability.
The opportunity.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's like I'm open as, and this is literally you that I'm repeating back to you, but I've so
Well,
did.
and it's just me repeating what I learned from my teachers, including my mom, back to me. Second one is expect good things.
Right. Expect
it.
guidance. Expect guidance. Open.
Expect help. Expect
Yep.
things will work out.
Mm-hmm.
Expect that you'll be surprised how they work out. Expect that you'll be thoroughly entertained at how they work out, that you'll be telling the whole world how it miraculously worked out for you as your normal.
Totally. And when I find that it's sort of when I'm like expect, it also for me immediately like helps to train our ego intellect, the part that gets critical, the part that can dismiss, it can put that part in service to our spirit by saying, pay attention. Pay attention. When I'm expecting guidance, it's like, all of a sudden.
It's not going to come like a pizza. It's going to come pretty subtle.
Right. But then all of a sudden I'm paying attention, which is where we get guidance. I'm paying attention.
Where the openings are, where the nudges are.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because even the moment you called the restaurant, you got the person who was going to hear you.
Mm-hmm.
And not just be in their head and say, sorry, no. Because a lot of people who are not connected to their intuition are very fearful and negative. And so they like to just pass that along. No, not possible.
Sure. I am sure of how things will turn. I am sure. And it's like.
Write the ending and it's not a happy one before you even start the whole process.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so
it is an anchor of our lives. Every day of my life, I have always expected, I don't know how, don't need to know, things are going to work out.
Totally. Even with this first, my request, I didn't even have a shadow of a doubt that we would figure it. I had not a shadow of a doubt.
Sort out. As like the British say, something will sort out.
See it, say it, sort it. I was like, I know. And I knew. I was like, it's going to happen. I see it. I feel it. Boom.
Well, that's just the fun of living the intuitive life. It's not the big deal. It's the 30 little deals in a day.
But exactly.
But keep working out. Because your guides, your angels, your higher self, it's all online for the happy ending, the good result.
Yeah. And just in those little ways, like the teeny tiny, itty little bitty ways is if you're not in that same place of and saying, this is my guidance, this is the way that my angels have helped me. They created a spot at the table,
right.
Those are the ways that you strengthen your intuition, because then you stop dismissing it. And then it's fun because when you start to connect all of the dots, when you really start to incorporate it, you're like, I just see.
It's like so wonderful. You can't even, how things actually work out most of the time, you can't have ever figured out.
No.
It's so much, I call it elegant. It's so much more elegant.
It is.
So it's first you have to be open. That's like just you turn on the process and then you expect that it'll work, which means then you turn on the receptivity and you start paying attention at a higher level. But it's the third one that is the game changer, because this is the one that I think 50% of people stop.
Oh, for sure.
And that is trust your vibes. Trust the impulse that says, call again or make the call or it's just like when we were at the airport and we were on our way to Paris. There were 7 of us with our tickets ready to board, and I got the vibe to ask to go on a different flight. And the agent was like, you are out of your mind. You've got your boarding passes. We're boarding in 10 minutes. And I just, everything pushed back at me. And I said, could you just humor me? That's what my mom used to say. Could you just humor me for a minute and look? And she was not interested. The other agent said, what's the problem? And I said, could you just humor me and look at and see if we could there's 7 of us, could we get on a different flight instead of this one leaving in 30 minutes? And they were both in the midst of telling me off and telling me not possible when the captain walked up right in front of me to them and said, I'm sorry to tell you, but this plane has a mechanical and no one's leaving. And I remember their eyeballs just popping out of their head, looking at me going, how did you know? And I said, I had a vibe. And then they found miraculously, suddenly, 7 seats on a flight going another 2 hours later.
Yeah.
Miraculously.
And guys, remember the real kicker?
The real kicker, guys, one of the 7 was in first class.
Amen.
It was amen. And I was like, that was mine.
That
just
was
because
mine.
I had
Angels.
the guts, because here we are standing in line, boarding passes in hand. And my guide said, you need to change planes. My guides didn't say there's a problem, didn't explain, just change planes.
Yeah.
Like, okay. So I just stepped out of line. That's trusting the vibe. I listened to this thing the other day. I think it was on an Instagram post. It was interesting. My guides led me there, that said that a scenario where a woman could be working late in her office in a high-rise building at night where most people have gone home, and the doors open and there's a strange man in the elevator that she doesn't know, and the building's empty. Now, the guy said 99% of all creatures in the living being world would not step into what would be a potentially threatening experience. But a human and a woman human who's been conditioned to not listen to her vibes will step in there.
Yeah.
Against all nature.
Yeah. Well, being nice. Being nice.
So we are defying that conditioning.
Yeah. And it's hard because, I remember I was talking to, many years ago, I was at a festival with Lane in golf. And the last night they burn like a little something. It's like mini Burning Man. Anyway, so I was tired, but here's one where I remember, I met this gentleman, and it was with me and my partner. I'm like, what's the two of us? And we start chatting. We are having a great time. I'm really enjoying just the banter. We're having a lot of fun. I'm having a lot of fun. And, I don't think, anything of it. And it's like, I met him with my partner. Anyway, he's like, I want to introduce you to some different radio people. And so he brings the two of us into this narrow path, like this narrow pathway because there's people all around this crowd to introduce me. And anyway, this is where I wasn't paying attention, but twofold. So I'm chatting with him. Lane's maybe 5 feet behind me, and he are chit-chatting. And then he turns and he kisses me. And it's not like a romantic kiss. It's not like a tongue kiss, but it was definitely a complete boundary violation. It was completely disrespectful. And I was shocked, surprised. I turn around, Lane is backing up. And I turn around, of course, going beeline. And he was like, I had a vibe. Like, I just had a vibe. Like, that guy just gave me a vibe. And if I stopped and paused, it was true. But then I felt bad. I was like, why didn't I say something when he kissed me? Why did I just turn and leave? And again, what we're talking about is that social conditioning, because it is true. It goes both ways. It's like, we have to not be nice and also realize that, especially as women, speaking up, but especially as women, that sometimes when you're in a moment like that, you're also aware of your safety in a different way. I learned something. I was worried, and because I went to my therapist, I was like, why? This is not within my nature. Like, why did I not X, Y, or Z? And she's like, you also have to recognize that sometimes when you are caught off guard like that first I didn't pay attention to the vibe of this guy's macking on me or whatever his agenda was. And second, that it wasn't a failure of mine, but good information. But what
That's
was
a good point.
But yeah, it was good information. But fast forward, I live in a small town. I see them all around. And last year, 2 years ago, I was at this seeing a band here, LSD Clown System, that I love. And I was supposed to go with a friend, Paulina. She wasn't able to get in. Anyway, I go to the show. And of course, I make a friend. And who is my friend's friend with but this gentleman who goes by Hurricane James. And I'm walking out to my car and I run right into him. And I don't know, it was my spirit. But I had I had a conversation where I had him apologized, didn't shame him, explain the boundary violation. This was the guy who kissed me. Run into him one-on-one.
So you were given a second chance.
One-on-one. Lane's not there. I have no one there. And I'm not afraid because it's also a friend. But I had a moment where I was able to clear. And I did. And I was on behalf of me and women and all of it, it was I got to have this redo. And I remember leaving peaceful because before that I would see him at events and be ducking and dodging, even though I obviously saw him. But now I had my peace. I had my energetic, and it was an energetic boundary when I was in there. I mean, I felt like
that's a very good point about living an intuitive life and being in charge is it's not enough just to pick up the vibe because what are you going to do with it? Yeah. Are you going to take care of someone else? Or are you going to take care of yourself?
Yeah.
And this reminds me about it. I'm thinking of a situation. Honest to God, I was so young. I was a student in Paris for the very first time. And we went on a field trip to Chambord, which is this big castle outside of Paris. There was about 12 students, and I was just completely naive, out of my element, wasn't even secure, just the overwhelming study abroad, just not grounded. And anyway, we walk into the palace, and we're on this tour, and there was this section of old cars. And I just looked into it and I thought, I'm going to check that out. And the minute I walked into that room, I was the only one in that room. And all of a sudden the lights went off. And I heard this man laughing. And it was creepy, creepy, creepy. And I thought, not a soul on this planet knows where I am. Not a soul who knows me knows where I am. And this guy is cornering me. And I am in this castle and I don't know who it is. And so I just screamed in the very little bit of French I could speak, turn on the light, my friends know where I am. And I screamed it really loud. I don't know how I got the when you get scared, you lose your voice.
Yeah.
And that has been up until that point in my life. That was my scared experience. And I just screamed with my whole might, turn on the lights in French. I don't even know where I got the French.
The angels.
And then it was a long pause and I couldn't see anything. And then all of a sudden a door opened to the courtyard, clear on the other side of the room. It just threw open. There was the sunlight and nobody. And I ran out into the courtyard and found my way back to the group, found my way back to the main place. It was so scary, but I swear to God, it was my guides who protected me and gave me the power and the wherewithal, because I had never in my life had that experience. And I thought, the first thing I thought, there's not a soul on this planet who knows where I am.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know I don't even know the teacher knows me. It's just if you have ever been in a study abroad program in France, you probably could understand why I would say that. It's you are on your own. Yeah. Figure it out. There's no one corralling the group.
I mean, it's like bumpers for the real. Well, but this is where it's really, that. I'm thank God for angels and protection and just. It's
and
interesting.
Have your voice.
But just it's some, it's we have different levels of vibes, and there are vibes that are danger, 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 danger. You feel it in your body, just like you were talking about. It's something is off. I just, but
yours was a side swipe.
Mine was a side swipe. And it's also, this is where I feel for myself, of where I have tripped up of not taking the moment to check in with my intuition. And the two things that I find are the common reasons why are, one, I'm in an emotional space. I'm feeling emotional in one way or another. I've maybe, I remember one time I was out, I was traveling. I don't even remember where I was. I remember this clear as day. And I was feeling lonely. So when I was actually traveling in Chile, I was homesick. I was feeling lonely. I was all these things. Anyway, I met this, and for me, travel can go both ways. I really believe I've the spirit of people. There have been people who have taken me in. I mean, it has been some of the most life-affirming experiences, but again, grounded because I'm choosing my vibes. Anyway, I'm emotional. I just gone through this big breakup. I was really lonely and in it. Anyway, I met this gentleman and he was super nice and he invites me for tea back to his apartment. And it's the day and I'm like, all right, sure, but again, alone. And I remember I got into his spot and at first I'm like, oh, this is so cute and thank you so much. And then I got a phone call from you out of nowhere. And you said, where are you? And I'm like, I'm at a new friend's house. You said, I have bad vibes. Get out of there now. And not that anything had happened, not that, but it was just very funny because it was like, as soon as you said that.
Intuitive families are wired.
I mean, genuinely.
Sure. I was in Europe.
You're in Europe. If you woke, you were like, I woke up out of a dead sleep in the middle of the night and I just had a vibe. And you were like, Sonia, I don't know where you are. You just said, I don't know where you are. I have a bad vibe. And I was like, oh, I'm going to, you're like, leave, go. I'm staying on the phone with you until you get into a cab. And, again, nothing happened. But
you don't want to stand around for something that happened.
No,
you want to avoid something happening.
Thank God. But again, where I say from that first story, I was enjoying chit-chatting so much that I didn't take, and I was tired, that I didn't take a moment to just check the vibe. I was, again, really like feeling some type of way that left me, vulnerable in a way because I didn't have my own temp check. I was craving connection over alignment.
Yeah, that's really, I think, where most people are members of what we call the woulda, coulda, shoulda club.
And we're talking extremes here,
Yeah, no, we really did drift down this, but obviously it's what's up is that you really need to just slow down, stay in your body, and then ask the question, I'm picking one, am I checking the vibe?
Yeah.
And then two, if I pick up the vibe, who am I taking care of? The other or me? Because a lot of women especially get the vibe, but I got to take care of the other. And it's usually the one violating the boundaries or having the meltdown or having the drama or somehow taking your energy.
Yeah. If there's too much drama, in whatever, yeah. If you're giving a honest feedback of, whether it's, I'm sorry, I can't come, or I'm not going to walk your dog, or that doesn't feel good for me, or X, Y, or Z.
Right.
If there's too much drama around that, red flag. Totally. Red flag. Because people who are your friend, people who you even just want to interact with, it's sort of like a genuine litmus test of, are they able to hear and respect? And I feel like that comes with energetic boundaries too, what you're saying.
Yeah.
Hello, my sweet friends. It's Sonia Tully. And here's one thing I know for sure. Your head and your heart are meant to be the best of friends. And when you live life inside out, your head and heart are one. Being an intuitive, connected soul is all about remembering who you are and uncovering your gems. It is my mission to help you trust your intuition so that you plug back in and reconnect to your authentic self. Check out my soul readings. We'll look deeply at your soul lessons and find your purpose. We'll answer your big burning questions like, what is holding me back in life? Or what's the right job for me? We'll look at what's going on for you right now and give you grounded steps to bring your life into alignment with your true self. There is nothing more that I love than helping people live spontaneously and awaken their inner guide. I can't wait to help you come home. Visit my website, soniatully.com, to learn about the ways I can work with you so that you'll dance through life with clarity and confidence.
Are they able, one of the vibe checks we need to really practice is sort of the wind this year up with, I'm going to use my intuition to help me, not caretake others.
Yeah.
Is, are you lifting me up? Are you a blood-sucking, life-energizing, life Drano? And I just need to check in and tell the truth about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was sitting and having a conversation with my gorgy friend Nahaya, who I just love. But, when you're truthful, when you tell the truth, first, that is paying attention to your feelings, that's paying attention to your vibes,
Right.
that's honoring and expressing your spirit. And even if you and let's say your friend or family, whatever, doesn't necessarily, if you don't see eye to eye, but even in being truthful for yourself, being truthful yourself means that you're being authentic, which can be an overuse, but then you're also giving permission to them to do the same. I find that sometimes it's like we feel like, I can't, I hear a lot from intuitive people. It's like, well, I can't just be who I am. And I'm like, well, if you're hiding yourself, then you're helping to create the conditions, and also that you're not giving the same space. It's like the energy that you're wanting, that's exchanged. The more honest we are,
Right,
centered in our heart.
That reminds me, I had a conversation with a beautiful, one of my favorite people that I mentor. And she said, she's just got the most generous spirit, the most open heart, but she's just had it with people hitting her up for do me a favor, lend me some money, save me, rescue me. And then she said, I just can't stand for people to suffer. And I said, well, let me just back you out of that for a minute. And maybe you just can't stand to be in their vibe. And it's not really that you can't stand the suffer. You just can't stand that you have to feel it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times what is people are suffering is from their own poor judgment and their own drama, which is what you're getting angry about. This is not true suffering. This is drama.
Yeah.
And these people are bailing and dumping their drama on you instead of, if you're really in a crisis, okay, you're going to have a different experience. But if they're just, hey, I didn't manage my life well, I'm freaking out, help me get out of it. I said, so what you need to do instead is say, I'm sorry that you're having that trouble. I'm sure it'll work out.
Yeah.
And so she laughed and she said, oh my God, I was just about to co-sign a mortgage for someone because of this. And I really don't want to involve myself in them buying a house. And I said, say no.
Yeah.
Just say, I can't do it. I can't, that's not going to work out for me and nothing more. And she said, oh my God, what'll they think? I said, it doesn't matter. What do you think? You could be empathic, you can be intuitive, but stay in your own skin. We don't want to just open up all these channels and then feel like we have to be the fireman to every arsonist on the planet,
Yeah. Yeah.
Pump the brakes.
Yeah. And just not having to, overgive. This reminds me many, many moons ago when I've been on a few heal my heart walkabouts when I was in my 20s. And I remember I went to Bali and I had a friend, DJ, who had lived there. And he said, one thing you have to do is go see the water priestess. And the water priestess, she is a living holy person. She had different and is seen by the monks that she's actually like in a one sense a living goddess. And the living goddess is somebody whose intuition, she clears emotions. It's like, and she uses water. Anyway, so I've She's like, go see the water priestess. Okay. I've been around the block. I grew up behind the curtain of Oz. You know, I've seen a lot of different spiritual people. So I show up and we have our little driver. We've had to find a driver, brings us offerings. Okay. So I am there and it's me and my friend Lauren. And then there's this yoga group that's on a tour. And so first these two Balinese women come and first you meditate and she prays over these bowls of water. And then you stand and she's, you know, elevated on this platform and she takes this water and she just dumps it over your head. And these first two Balinese women, I mean, genuinely had this like emotional exorcism. They're crying, they're yelling, but she has you stomping your feet and all these things. And then peace goes in. All right. I'm like, okay, interesting. So next up, the little yogis. And again, I've like behind the curtain of Oz feeling a little like, who is this? Not who is this, but like, I wonder if I'm going to have an experience, you know,
right.
we'll see. So it's my turn and, you know, I'm open, but again, discerning.
A bit.
Discerning. I've just, you know, I've been around the block and I start to go through this ceremony and she is pouring water on my head. This is in the midst of like our divorce and losing the house and all these things. And it was one of the most wild experiences of my life because out of what felt like out of nowhere, but it was really her healing. All of these deep grief, all of this sadness, all of this stuff, it's almost like it's like throwing up on surprise. You know, when like you're standing and you're chatting with somebody and then all of a sudden you like that and then just like projectile vomiting emotion. And I mean, and there's this push and pull between Pete, who's like, who's surprised, who's kind of like holding back. And she's like,
Pete's your intellect.
Yeah. My intellect, my head is like, you know, surprised that I'm having this experience, surprised that I'm in 1 second sobbing, so emotional, and also aware that I'm with this group. But she's like, just stamp your feet, shake your arm, and let it out. And so I did. I did. I really, and my friend Lauren next to me, we're talking about energetic bound, is sitting there trying to rub my back saying like, it's okay. Water priestess is like, stay in your lane, ma'am. She okay.
Yeah.
Just move this through. So afterwards, I felt this very, very just deep peace. It was so beautiful. But we later had a circle where she answered questions. And one of my questions was that same thing. It's like, there's so much suffering like in the world. Like what is it that we do or when we feel other people's pain? And she was like, you know, we can and what I remember, I don't remember her exact answer, but it was along the same lines of you can have compassion, you can have empathy, you can be generous, but you don't do anyone a service by taking on other people's stuff. It's not
Amen. I really
yours.
think that is clearly a skill. And I think we have it. I think I have addressed it in the many, many, many books that I've written, but life is your teacher. The books are your guide. These conversations are your guide, but your life is your teacher. And I do think for our listeners, this is basically a tool of the week. And my teacher said it in a way that at first I thought was really rude. He said, lesson number 1, mind your own business. And I thought that was, geez, how selfish.
Yeah.
Is the first thing I thought. And I said, isn't that selfish? He goes, it's selfish of you to think that you are more prepared to mind someone else's business of their life than they are. It's arrogant, it's presumptuous, and you're not more prepared. And then while you're busy minding their business, you're neglecting your own, so you're creating a problem for someone else.
Amen, amen, amen.
So I
because
think
also you don't know.
You don't know. You have no. I said to my client who said she was about ready to buy a house for someone, I said, and to what end? Who are you really helping here?
Yeah.
Because you're going to put a mortgage on a house that maybe they can't sustain. You're helping yourself not feel stressed about their ask in the moment, but in the long run, you're going to get saddled with this.
Yeah. And
that's not helping them, and it's certainly not going to help you.
No.
So she backed out of it. She said, you're right. And she said, I'm so happy and relieved.
Totally. Totally. And
So
you know,
can check the vibe, just slow down, take a pause. I think this is a good tool of the week.
yeah. And I was just going to say one thing that also is within the tool of the week. And I find that one thing that has been is what we need is community. We need other people to be able to talk about these experience, you know, our vibes.
Who won't manipulate you.
Yeah. Who can meet you at the same vibrational match. And that might not always be quote unquote easy, but we have to make an effort. And so that's why I love Circle of our membership, our tribe, because
that's why we created the tribe. You need mirrors, people who can speak and mirror and get it, and who you can be yourself with and yet not feel self-conscious. This is your inner skills, your inner sensory skills, your soul skills are best developed in a community that completely accepts and supports that these are a legitimate and important, essential part of your consciousness. And it's the bridge to your most authentic self. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, you know, just on that same thing of tool of the week, I feel like let's keep it simple. Mm-hmm. Check in with your intuition. Make a conscious choice to check in with your spirit when making the practice of making any decision. What does my spirit
say? First, get in your body. Take a breath in, exhale, and empty all the emotion around you. Do it 3 times. Breathe in and pause. Exhale and pause. And you take a second breath in and pause. Exhale, pause. And then the third breath in, open your jaw, and like a yawn, give out a big sigh. Ah. And then sigh right into the heart and smile. That kind of is my everyone out of the pool tool.
Yeah, I love it. Out the pool. And I just did this habit, which really takes 10 seconds.
It does.
Last 5 seconds is a beautiful way that really strengthens and again puts your mind, all of it into alignment, because when we do that, we quiet the intellect, we check in with our spirit, we
and what's
listen.
Actually happening right now.
Yeah. In that same way. It's a beautiful,
another thing you can do that makes it real simple, if this is new to you, is you can just say, am I getting a red light, a green light, or a yellow light?
Yeah.
Is this green light? Let's go for it. I feel good, but double check that. Is it my green light or someone sweeping me into their energy?
Yeah. And that's why the breath
that's what happened to you.
Yeah. And that's why the breath is key, because the breath helps to, you know, it's
regulate you back to self, bring you back to self. And then
and if
it's a red light, here's the thing. You don't have to explain.
No.
Just not feeling it right now. And have that ready to say, it's not vibing with me right now. That doesn't resonate at the moment. I don't know why. Because my client said, what do I say? I said, say it's just not resonating and I can't explain, but I'm going to go with it. When you explain, you're looking for permission.
And it's too much talking.
It is. Just
too much talking.
You know, just no. It's a no. It's a no.
Yeah.
Our friend Raluca used to say, what she used to say?
It's not for me.
It's
not for me. I love it. It's not for me. It's one of my favorites.
And that's flat out. And I think that should be our good, especially red light vibe check-in.
Tool of the week. I love that.
In fact, listeners, tell us your stories. Write in, share, tell us your stories, because the more you tell your story, the more you strengthen this skill.
Absolutely. And you can write us at It's All Related podcast questions at gmail.com. Maybe we should have a spot on Circle. Do you have a spot on Circle?
No, but
forum?
we could do that. We could do that, where you ask your questions or tell your stories, because Circle is the Good Vibe Tribe community space.
That's where we host it. The Good Vibes is, So So yeah, absolutely. If you're needing a spiritual community, check out, join the Vibe Tribe. I absolutely love it. It's so fun. And one thing that I'm going to be teaching, December 21st, I'm doing a manifestation workshop on clearing roadblocks and getting clear for the year ahead. It's an hour and a half on December 21st from 11 to 12:30 Central. So come join us. It's recorded, sent to you. This is a really great way to start the year. And as always, you can always book a reading. So those are my different things. And now let's go to our question of the week.
Yes. What's our question?
Hi, ladies. I've been in a bit of a moral dilemma. I got out of a disappointing and emotionally draining relationship with a narcissist. When I met him, he was shy and somewhat endearing. He wanted to move out of state, would be with his family, and I agreed to go with him. We were living in different cities when things took a dark turn. Less than a year into our relationship, he admitted he had cheated on me with his previous girlfriends, and I found out that he was looking at different of his female friends on Instagram. I was crushed. Now, here's the kicker. The man is in the psychic paranormal community and is beginning to build a name for himself. He has a few thousand followers. He's using his affluence to manipulate people. Now that the relationship is clear, I can see him clearly. Do I have an ethical obligation to call out this man and provide evidence that I have to show that he's a predator, a plagiarizer, and a liar? Or do I wash my hands and move on? Nicole.
That's a loaded question. And I don't think you necessarily need to take this on as your noble cause. But I do think if he's in a public space, you might say, I've had a different experience and my experience has not been positive. And I, at the risk of sounding like a complainer, please be discerning, ladies, or something.
I feel like it's about being a complainer. I feel like first and foremost, here's the thing, and this is something that I see a lot, and why good training is really important.
Yes,
because the people who gravitate towards this work are open. We're open
and looking for support.
Yeah, and there are people within any space. Whether it's in a spiritual space, whether it's in a music space, in a therapy space, it's all. But there are people who are narcissists and manipulators and abusers. It's true, and this is why discernment is so incredibly important. Now,
I just want to say one thing. This is what has always guided me. This is what my teacher said to me. A real teacher always sets the student free.
Yes.
So if you feel you're being free to be you, you're not being pulled off, you're not being sucked in, you're not giving up your autonomy, your authority, your sovereignty, your sense of commitment to yourself, then you are in a good space.
Yeah.
But if you feel that you have to compromise yourself on any level to belong, then you should probably back out of that driveway.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so I say, speak up. But you can say, this has been my experience, but I feel like first check in with your capacity for having, because if you're check in with your capacity, you just got out of an abusive experience. So first checking in with yourself, because that's important, of just having that be a place. Second, speaking up and just even saying my inbox or whatever is open, and that you can make an impact, but you also don't have to. And I say you don't have to save people, because it can create a dynamic that is that you can be dismissed.
Right.
That you can be dismissed. So in opening the conversation and in saying within that, also, I remember one time, a long time, of what we can do is supporting people to be the queen of their own castle. And also just saying, that's not normal. That's not normal.
Right. It's not normal to be asked to give up your power, your authority, but also you have to check in with people. If someone doesn't want to be, if they want to be led or they want to be part of something, again, we're back to where we began, is you can't change where another person's free will is going, but you can certainly be authentic and honor your own. And again, we go back to the voice. Speak up about your own experience, but don't confuse it with absolute experience.
Yeah. And here's the thing, and as you were saying, energy will gather. Because otherwise you're going to be sucking all your energy of whack-a-mole of having to go to all the different things. You know, there is power. Also, I feel like here's the other thing in social media. This is something that's very real. Make a post about it. Make a thing about your experiences. And here's the other thing. Other people will come out of the woodwork. I've seen it within the music industry many different times of that gathers a community momentum. So, you know,
trust your vibes.
Yeah.
Follow your heart.
Yeah. What I'm feeling is that there is a place of where you need to be truthful and speak up to warn people of the dangers on your terms. And then, you know, you can decide where you want to go from there, because then your side of the street is clean.
And I think that is, you know, every time we do this podcast, we have these great ideas of where we're going to go, and then it goes where it goes. So clearly this podcast is about being in your body, honoring, checking in with yourself, pausing, speaking up, being clear about being in charge of your life, and then facing the challenges and not being intimidated if something isn't working for you, to say so.
Yeah.
You don't have to make anyone else right or wrong. Just that's not for me. That has not been good. That's not been a good experience for me. That's what I have to share.
Yeah.
And then part B is, and then do learn from this and do share what you've learned, and then commit yourself to following your intuition, growing, and being the queen of your own queendom.
Yeah. Because as I said, truth will set you free. When you're aligned with your truth, intuition is another word for truth, and no one can take that away from you. And the other thing is, like, where I really see it's like there's divine justice, and it's true. You plant those seeds and you can see it again and again. You see it in the documentaries, you see it in all the different stuff. It catches.
It all comes to light eventually.
It does. It all comes to light eventually. So don't be afraid to speak truth to power. And as you're saying,
and then follow the path that keeps you in power.
Yes.
Of your life. Keeps you in the power of your life.
Yes, absolutely. Well, beautiful. And I'm sending, prayers.
Lots and lots of love and healing.
And proud of you, Nicole. I'm proud of you for getting out of that situation, because that takes a lot of developing your own tools and skills and being the queen of your own castle to get out of a situation like that. So good job. We're so grateful to have you as part of our spiritual family.
Anybody listening who hasn't, I'd say read, Trust Your Vibes, read, Ask Your Guides, and read The Psychic Pathway. Those are 3 basic books, or listen to them.
They're so good.
On audio. And this is your foundation for making these kinds of decisions.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. If you'd like to write us a question, you can write us at itsallrelatedpodcastquestions@gmail.com. Maybe we should come up with a different, anyway, that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, that's a whole
But we'd love to hear from you. Drop us. You can leave us, DM my mom on Instagram, leave questions on YouTube, whatever it is, share your stories. We absolutely love to hear from you. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please rate and subscribe. It helps us more than you know. And I love you, Mom.
Love you too. And
I can't wait. I can see you in 48 hours.
See you in 48.
Yay!
Love you all. Thanks for tuning in. Tell your friends.
Oh, my love. Bye.
Bye.